So a very warm good evening on a weekend to all the educationists and our esteemed panel who have joined us today. I, Pooja Yaduvir, Director Academics and Content for GSLC, am extremely excited to have you all along with us in this webinar series that we have organized along with Aerobe. To share you about GSLC, GSLC is a community with more than 13,000 school principals, and it has been an unending endeavor of Pankaj Sharma as the founder and Sunny Lalwani as the co-founder to take the educational initiative forward and create as many collaborations and synergies as possible across the educational fraternity. We have hosted numerous physical events along with many webinars with lot of our other partners in collaboration. And today we are going to have the second episode of our webinar with Aerobe. And today the topic that we are going to discuss is going to be related to something that has become the talk of the town, and we have with this decade, we have witnessed it all across all the schools and along with the high school fraternity as well. Moving ahead, I would like to introduce Aerobe, our collaborative partner for this series with you all. As they say, our proud nation stands on the shoulders of our youngsters, and this new India is propelled by the fuel of its innovative entrepreneurs. One such example in the field of education is Aerobe. Started by 4 passionate and aspiring entrepreneurs, Aerobe stands at the brink of innovation and creativity emerging as a flag bearer in the otherwise pale edtech market. The journey in the past 3 years is a testament exemplifying the growth and reach, which is nothing but short of a miracle, from Shark Tank, Horse Stable, Best Startup Awards at AIM Dubai, Maharashtra State Innovation Mission to successfully impacting more than 120 schools and 25 students across India. Aerobe's wings have been spread elegantly. They provide STEAM-based education, experiential learning solutions to the K-12 education system and provide a complete umbrella for schools through their innovative lab setups, expert faculties, national and international competitions, certifications, and their takeaway kits. And as I mentioned earlier, today the topic for the discussion is going to be decoding STEAM and exploring the avenues in education. And to take this discussion forward, I have my esteemed panelists joining us today. I would like to welcome Major General TPS Waraich, Director, Yadavindra Public School, Mohali, in today's session. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Pooja.
Joining him, we have Ms. Hema Chennupaty, Principal, RP Goenka International School, Kolkata. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Mr. Abhishek Bagchi, Principal, Presidency School, Banashankari. Welcome, Abhishek, sir.
Thank you, Pooja, ma'am. Thank you.
And we have Ms. Reshma Shaikh, Principal, Euro School, Kharadi, Pune, with us. Welcome, Reshma, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Pooja.
And we will be having Ms. Neha Chauhan, CEO and founder, Aerobe, also joining us for today's discussion. And as you all know, the panel is going to be moderated by me. And for all our audience, I would just like to inform that this session is timed out for 1 hour. We will be having 2 rounds of discussion. One will be individual round to our panelists and followed by a common question round. I will be requesting all our participants, all our audience to kindly keep themselves on mute. However, we would love to know your views, your ideas, your suggestions, your inputs as this discussion goes forward, but via the chat. So I will be looking forward checking the inbox during the discussion. So please keep dropping in your inputs as well. We would love to hear from you. And as you would have seen across in our creators and our social media uploads, there will be a certificate provided to all the attendees because they have taken the time. It is a token of appreciation from our side The link will be shared 5 minutes prior to us closing the session. Please be rest assured the certificates will reach to you within 3 to 4 working days. Now, not wasting any time further, I would like to begin this session and pose the first question to General Waraich. So, to set the base for this discussion, may I request you to help us understand the term STEAM, it stands for STEAM. I will not discuss it further, I'll share it with you to do so, and its relevance in the field of education today. How has been its transition in the last 2 decades? Because last 2 decades had seen the major transition in the education field. So how has its journey been? I would like you to share that with us. Over to you, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I'm very honored to share the platform with you. And of course, thank you, GSLC, Pankaj and Pooja, to get us here to share our views on this very important aspect, which is going to really make a great impact in the way education is transforming in our country. Well, we all know its origins, but I'll just run through them so that we are on the same page. The term STEAM, as they say STEAM, originated as an evolution of STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. So the transition from STEM to STEAM reflects the incorporation of arts into the existing framework, acknowledging the importance of creativity and design in these fields. Well, STEM as a concept began to take shape in the early 1990s to address the need for a stronger focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the educational curriculum. So this transition to STEAM happened in the early 2000s, primarily led by educators and institutions who felt that arts, which included humanities, design, creative thinking, should be integrated with STEM disciplines to foster holistic learning. An individual called Georgette Yachman, who was an educator and researcher, began developing the concept of STEAM in 2006 while teaching in Virginia, USA. Through her teaching experience, she observed that students were more engaged and better able to grasp complex concepts when the arts were integrated into STEM subjects. This led her to develop the idea that arts encompassing fields like fine arts, humanities, design, social sciences play a very pivotal role in enhancing students' creative thinking, innovation, and general understanding of the environment. That what we say, understanding the world. Having given you that as the background, it has gone a step further, which I will speak a little later in my talk. The relevance in education today, as we know, has many facets. It develops creative innovation, interdisciplinary learning, critical thinking and problem solving, skill development in the 21st century, and the real world relevance. When you say real world relevance, today, when an individual steps out of school and into university and beyond that, their understanding of the environment and various facets of education becomes so much easier. Their engagement and motivation increases and improves. Over the last 2 decades, the emergence of STEAM concept has began gaining prominence around the mid-2000s, like I said, and the idea was to emphasize creative and design thinking alongside. It increased, like I said, interdisciplinary approaches. Curriculum innovation has come about, and I'll talk about examples of how it is happening. I can give you an example, which I will do later, what we do in school here. The understanding of various subjects through this STEAM, concept of STEAM, and its applications are becoming much better for the students. Professional development and training. Teachers have received more opportunities for professional development in STEAM education, and programs and resources help educators design and implement STEAM-based lesson projects. The STEAM movement has also focused on making these educational opportunities more accessible to diverse student populations. Efforts have been made to address disparities. Technological advancements has facilitated STEAM education. So all these putting together, I would summarize that STEAM education has evolved significantly over the past 2 decades, reflecting a broader understanding of the importance of integrating creativity with technical skills. It's like, if you go back into history, all the great innovators were very good musicians. They wrote great poetry. So it was a blend of science, technology, art, performing arts, which is coming back into the system once again. Because over a period of time, we became specialists and super specialists. Now the bandwidth of learning is creating an interdisciplinary platform for children to learn well. In fact, even NEP 2020 has come out that you have options to integrate many subjects, science with social sciences or social studies. So it's a very important aspect which is growing now. It's growing prominence in schools, is reshaping how students learn and prepare for future careers, which is making education more relevant to the demands of the modern world. Having said that, I'm sure all the panelists and all the people who are online and hearing what we all have got to offer and share with you that it is becoming a very integrated aspect of our curriculum in schools. Thank you. Over to you, Pooja.
Thank you so much, sir. Very rightly brought out, and I really like the way you actually set the course for this discussion, taking us back into how the topic of the STEAM actually started and how this whole concept came into the picture. And you also touched upon a very important aspect of professional development of the teachers as well, because I think that is where we need to start working on, because they are ultimately going to take the discussion forward, and their involvement with the learners and their awareness as well is very important. And so we are definitely looking forward to know what and how you are implementing STEAM in your school. Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful insight and helping us understand STEAM better. I would like to now pose my question to our next panelist, to Hema ma'am. Ma'am, we've understood the relevance of STEAM in the field of education, but if you could help us understand that what strategies have been like really effective and have actually helped us spark that interest about the STEAM in a learner at a very young age, or if you could just kind of state with those strategies which we can follow or the educators can follow to kind of generate that interest. So over to you, Hema ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So we all obviously understand the importance of implementing STEAM in our schools. How to go about it was, of course, the next challenge. I've been in the education field for the last 20, 25 years, and I think the STEAM really generated a lot of interest in the mid 2000, around 2006-07. And the schools were looking for how to go about implementing it. We didn't have trained staff. We didn't have a curriculum per se, which we could just adopt in schools. And of course, the infrastructure was definitely lacking. So the few things that we need to start focusing on, especially when we are building new schools, is to actually create a room, AR, VR, or a design lab, or a maker space kind of a space where children can actually go and experiment and carry out different techniques through which they can maybe explore a little bit of coding, robotics. It has to be a part of the culture of the school. It is something that we need to talk about right from the beginning, right from the time we introduce these programs or start a school, talk to parents, talk to teachers, talk to children, and build that culture. And it has to be in the air. It's not something that you can just put as part of your timetable and expect children to pick it up, or parents to just adopt it. In our school, of course, coding and robotics is introduced as early as grade 1. Children have, and it's mandatory. It's also something that is, I won't say assessed, but at least something that we do have as part of something that we report back to parents on how focused your child is on that, or how his aptitude is towards coding or robotics. So this helps us, and we have actively introduced it in the middle school as well. Again, the curriculum has to be specifically designed for a particular school. I'm from Calcutta, and Calcutta, in terms of the development and the exposure that the children have, may not be as at par with maybe the rest of the country. So to expect that children would pick up any previously prepared curriculum and take on with it may be expecting a little too much. So we had to sit down and do some previous knowledge assessments, and then design a specific curriculum. And then, of course, like sir mentioned before, the teacher training part is so important. So that was the next step. And then again, the curriculum development, the teacher training, and then, of course, the reporting and assessments that we were looking into. Integrating it into curriculum, since we started the PYP, it was much easier for us. PYP is transdisciplinary. So we were able to integrate it into most of our units, and of course ensure that children were thinking in those lines constantly. Apart from that, we also need to, of course, look at basic computing skills for children. We kind of assume that because they are digital natives, we assume that they come with the set of that knowledge. But sometimes there is also a miss there as well. So we have also picked that up and ensured that we do some little bit of basic computing knowledge, the skills development for them. And then that's how a custom-made program has been created for us. With technology going leaps and bounds, and of course the proverbial elephant in the room, the AI that has come up now in such a big way, we have to accept that this is something that we have to face head on, and educate our children on how to deal with it, how to adopt it, how to accept it, and work with it, because it's something that's not going to go away, but as well work with it, and ensure that we get the help that we can from it. So in that process, of course, a lot of teacher training is also required. The teachers have to adapt themselves to this. So I think that's about it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really very crisp and to the point. And I really love the term that you use. And I think that kind of already said everything what you later mentioned, is that we need to build in that culture. So once we have that culture from the beginning itself, it automatically becomes a part of the curriculum. It automatically becomes a part of the teaching learning process. And this is something that we should not be kind of desperately trying to build in. It should be already blended in. And of course, the other aspects that you mentioned are the steps that we need to take towards bringing in and introducing and kind of generating and sparking that interest amongst the children, even at a young age. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such clear-cut, crisp ideas. And again, moving ahead with the same idea, my next question is for Abhishek, sir. So we've discussed that what strategies can we bring in, and we already know that the STEAM is the buzzword right now, and we are getting into AR, AI, and all the other tech-based processes. But if you could bring out the emerging trends that are there in the STEAM education that we as educators, all our audience, and everybody across India and globally should be aware of, because then it can help us explore more. So over to you, Abhishek sir.
So good evening, each and everyone here, and good evening, my fellow panelists. Thank you, sir, TPS. Sir. It's always a joy, listening to you. I can see Neha has joined. So hello, Neha. So yes, can I be honest here, Pooja? Right? If I'm honest, then I can't see a right implementation of STEAM which is happening anywhere in, well, not anywhere, but in most of the places in India at least. Like it is disheartening because we started pretty started other things, but if you notice carefully, not many Indian students are actually winning international level competitions. Indian students are winning, but not from India. That's the sad part. Like, or at least not from an Indian board, in Indian boards. So yes, we do have that intention, as Sir said, Hema ma'am said rightly. We do have the intention, but somewhere we are getting lost in that process. Now the reason behind is in that whole steam, the T is becoming too big, and somewhere that S and the M, which are like the foundations of the steam, maybe somewhere getting lost. So yes, if you talk about trains, there are a lot of trains that in front of us. We are dealing with artificial intelligence, though most of us do not know how to write a prompt properly, and but we have written a prompt, right? So there lies the problem. Like we are not understanding what are problem statements. We are not discovering the problem statement. The teacher who actually found out that arts can be excellently used in explaining the science and the technology and engineering subjects are the best advocate of STEAM or STEM, because she found out, she discovered it. Sure, there was a lot of thought involved into it. So what is happening here? We are giving toys to our students and telling them to play kind of a jigsaw puzzle. Like that's a problem that we are creating. We are not going to the real problem statements that are actually associated with whatever they are studying in science or math or any other subjects. And if we can actually create curriculums where these problem statements will be addressed by the students, and they will start thinking in a critical manner, as a problem solver, as a creative person, and then address those things and start finding a solution. I think that's the trend that we are looking at, because when we look at trends, and if I talk about globally what is happening, the already the students and each and everyone who is dealing with STEM education has started solving problems related to sustainable development, solving problem related to social emotional issues, right? These are the trends which are coming up. That's where the AI will be helping. That's why your AR and VR will be helping, because you may not be able to reach an African village and understand the society. But yes, the AR and VR can take you to that African village, and you can actually discuss what is going on there. You may not be able to create an aeroplane by your own, but the lab that Neha ma'am is creating will help you to actually do that, and understand how an aeroplane works through the simulation that they're creating. So that is STEM. STEM is not playing with the toy, which most of the time we are ending up doing that. STEM is like to understand how the science is working at the back, what is the math behind it, and then understand the technology, and then try to go there and solve it, which is the engineering part, and go and solve that problem. So it's a very integrated process, as TPS has said. It's a very integrated process, and when we can actually reach that transdisciplinary phase, then only we can enjoy that transdisciplinary cake that we can actually produce and give it and gift it to the students. At presently, it is still in the state of a salad, a multidisciplinary state, where we are actually presenting that salad to the students and teaching them and telling them to eat. There is no harm in it. Salad is also delicious, no problem, but it has not reached that cake stage. Like the moment we can create a cake, which is not an easy thing to bake, those who actually are good in baking cake, they know it's not a very easy thing. It's easy to make a salad, maybe comparatively. So we are making the salad and giving it to our students. But yes, it's a long way to go. We need to transform from a multidisciplinary phase to an interdisciplinary, which is like can be a samba, where you have the ingredients. The ingredients are visible, but it has got its own characteristic. But when you reach the cake, where the ingredients are not at all visible, and you have reached a different discipline altogether, and then only we can say that yes, we have reached that stage where we can talk about STEM or implementation of STEM, and can actually correlate with all the global trends that are coming up, like problem solving of sustainable development goals, and social emotional learning, and all the AR, VR, and AI that we are talking about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Of course, that was an honest opinion that you did put forward, because uh, we all are trying to blend into the technology, into our curriculum, into our lives. But of course, the other aspects of the STEAM also need to be equally addressed, equally taken care of, and equally taken forward, because I think it is not that which is better out of those, it is that they complement each other. And they are the different pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. As you mentioned, all the ingredients of the cake that need to be put together, and that cake has to be baked at a particular temperature, not exceeding, not going below, so that we get the maximum output of it. Of course, we have faced our own sets of challenges this into our education, because India, again, being across the demography, having so many young learners around, with so many boards, with so many teaching patterns, pedagogies, anything new that comes definitely takes its time to shape. And that is the reason we bring in these discussions, so that we can bring in lots and lots of ideas, lots and lots of perspectives, and we can share them and maybe share the best practices that can help our learners learn better. So thank you so much, Abhishek sir, for bringing in those perspectives, and as well as helping us understand and how
I think there may be some issues in the networking of
I
Pooja.
think there is an internet connectivity of this.
Right. Sir, TPS sir, what is your opinion on this? Like, and how much we are successful in actually bringing STEM to our education system, keeping in mind our examination syllabus and all
Yeah.
the assessment of learning stage that we go through. So, how much we are successful in doing that? So,
Yeah, you very Abhishek, you very well put it across. You see, the basic problem is understanding the concept. The concept is not very well understood. There's
right.
Clarity has to come, like you said, how to integrate it. It's gone a step further from STEM to STEAM. Now they're talking of stream.
Stream, right.
Stream. They're talking of reading also.
The research part is also coming.
Research part. Sadly, our curriculums are not changing to incorporate this. So when I talk of curriculum, you talk of Indian boards, they are not putting it into some form which can be adopted by the schools to put it across. Schools are doing it. I'll give you an example when my turn comes of what we are doing. We can exchange, ideas on how we can do it, but it has to get formalized. And like you said, our students are not winning those international level competitions at that level. So there has to be some problem why they're not doing it. Our rote learning gave them marks, but understanding was not there. That conceptual understanding was not there. Now they have allowed a mix of subjects. You can do a cross-stream picking up of subjects. But the fact on ground is, how do you implement it?
Right.
The implementation of it. So understanding, integration, implementation, it has to be a holistic approach.
Yes.
It
Right.
is a top-down approach. NEP has come from the top.
Mm.
Implementation also has to come from the top. We are expecting that NEP as a concept will be understood and implemented bottom upwards, from school upwards. So that understanding is not there.
You're right.
Teacher training, infrastructure. To do all this, schools require a lot of infrastructure. You
Absolutely.
require time.
Mm.
Current overpacked curriculum of the boards, there is very little time for students to explore all this.
Right.
And exploration will happen when you give them time to do activities,
Mm.
and thereafter time to reflect on those activities.
Exactly. Exactly.
They have to absorb all that.
Right.
So let's see. I hope we live in hope that
Yes.
things will, sort themselves out, and we are doing our best at our level as educators to give the best to our students.
Right.
And we hope things will fall into place and becomes a structured program.
Mm.
It
Yes.
has to be a
Absolutely.
structured program.
Right. We can see Pooja is back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm extremely sorry for the inconvenience. I don't know, my laptop is just not ready to run today.
No, no.
However, I'm extremely sorry for the disruption in the discussion. Thank you so much all for all the patience that you have shown with me. I would like to take this discussion forward and pose my next question to Reshma ma'am. Uh, Ma'am, what are the biggest challenges that you feel are there in implementing the STEAM programs in schools? And if you could also help us understand that how can these challenges be overcome to make STEAM accessible to all students across India? Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, Ms. Pooja and all the esteemed panelists. This evening, I would like to start by actually talking about how STEM, as something unique, is perceived by the entire system now. I think more so after the 2 years of pandemic when we restarted school, and incidentally around the same time NEP was announced. So at the time that NEP was announced, a lot of initiatives started taking traction. And one of those things that posed traction was STEM. So suddenly you will find a lot of conversation happening around the term STEM. It's a part of NEP. It is what you do in schools. It is also a study that people who actually indulge in STEM, they're more likely to succeed, not just in the real world, but also academically in a lot of areas. So typically, there are a lot of challenges that are found to actually implement STEMs across various sectors. Now that STEM is, becoming a part of the education, I would say, curriculum, extra curriculum, one of the biggest challenges in actually supporting STEAM is a limited amount of funding and resources. So while we say STEAM, we also look at it now as it has become a kind of, let's say, a post-school activity. It's being called as something which can be done after school hours for people who are interested in, looking at STEM or STEAM as it has evolved now. The whole idea of STEAM is something that needs to be brought about to each and every child, not just, to a certain level of students who can actually go through it after school. So that is one of the biggest challenges, is bringing it about to the masses, to each and every student in school. And having said that, when we start with STEM, it never was such a big deal because STEM was incorporated in the regular syllabus in terms, mostly when we look at the S part of it. So when you say S part of it and when you had M part of it, there was a certain integration. What happened is when we tried to integrate humanities into it, that's the time it took on a completely new phase. So one of the challenges is certainly budgets. Though we talk about STEAM now in a lot of terms, like Aerobay, I know, is doing a lot to bring about STEAM to schools. But if we look at STEAM typically in going down to the rural areas, like TPS said, it starts from the top and has to be implemented from the top. And that is so right, because STEM needs to go right down to a school in a small rural area where, they should be exposed to what STEM and what STEAM is all about. And like he rightly also said, that now the annotation has gone to STREAM. So when you say STREAM with reading and research, I would say STREAM is probably the simplest thing to add into the school learning system if it can be integrated into the curriculum. So when we talk typically about STEAM as in a structure, as in a module, as in a curriculum, it comes with a lot of funding aspects associated with it. So any school which cannot afford it or which works on meager resources, it's very difficult to bring STEM as a structured module to that particular school. But conversely, if you talk about the solution to it, it is not difficult to integrate STEAM into the regular curriculum for these children as well. There are ways that it can definitely be done. The other thing is teacher training and expertise. It is very sad that sometimes when you sit across a recruitment, desk, and you certainly ask certain people that what has been your experience with STEM or STEAM as it has evolved, and you see blank faces on the other side. So very clearly, one of the biggest challenge is the role of training of teachers, of facilitators, of educators who can take up STEM, is very, very limited in a country like ours, of course. And today, when you say STEM or when you use the word STEAM, automatically what comes to mind is AR, VR, robotics, AI, which really may not be the case at all times. And like Abhishek sir very rightly said, the science and mathematics of it is greatly suffering. Technology has taken a higher seat. So that is one of the aspects I think while designing a curriculum, these things should certainly be, taken into mind. And that brings me to, one of the next challenges, which is curriculum rigidness. So we have such a rigid curriculum. Usually schools follow the conventional patterns, ICSE, CBSE, or a state board somewhere. So there's very little flexibility that comes into play when we're talking about introducing STEAM specifically within the curriculum. So you will have a tangle of various subject teachers who are going to find it difficult to do this unless the right thought process, the right learning, and the right aptitude is kind of integrated. That STEAM is not something additional that you're doing, it's a part of what you're doing in school and integrated into all the subjects. In fact, there's this beautiful concept of art integration over the last many years that actually happens in education. So when you say art, it can be fine arts, it can be performing arts, visual arts, so all forms of art, and it is, I think, one of the most beautifully crafted curriculums that can come out of integrating art, which is also something that appeals to learners with different learning styles. So I think STEAM is an excellent, way to help make learning more interesting and develop those all important skills. And these skills certainly help students in coming up to the fore and taking things further. So when you have a beautifully integrated curriculum, that also helps you in saving on time. So time is a very important factor because with schools, there's always, a robust almanac which has to be taken up from the beginning to the end. So where do you put in STEAM? So when you integrate it within the subjects, this issue of time is taken care of, by itself. So all the disadvantages of all implementation of STEAM, they actually can be supplemented by their own converse solutions to bringing out how to go about it. And here I feel a lot of relief can be brought in by partnerships with people who actually work on excelling in the STEAM related activities here. Teacher training is very, very important. Like, Abhishek sir said, integration into the core curriculum would really help. We could move more and more towards research and project-based learning. And the most important thing I feel is to ensure equity. I mean, why should a particular child studying in a school where you have the who's studying only be exposed to STEAM? I think STEAM is something that needs to go down to each and every student. And like Abhishek sir said, can I tell you something frankly? And I think what he spoke actually meant volumes. It's something from where you can actually bring out the solution to how STEAM has become a module and how STEAM is taken as certain students taking it up. Whereas integration, I think, is the way forward. So though there are challenges, I think the solutions are simpler than the challenges. And I think the challenges can be easily overcome because when you're looking at STEAM, you're looking at a very interesting way of learning, right? So STEAM is a form of learning by doing. And I think it's one of the best solutions in any school, whatever the school may be like. I think every student takes an extreme interest when you're looking at doing certain things rather than rote learning. It brings about so many beautiful outcomes and results. And I think, like I said, there could be challenges, there could be problems in implementation, but the solutions are easy as well. It's not tough to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a really positive note to sum up your answer with. And as you very precisely you've given us those specific points as in what can be the challenges, but of course there are solutions. Can look forward to how to go along with it, and also understanding that how it is not limited to the technological aspect. And even if we are bringing in the humanities, even if bringing in art integrated education, we need to understand that what is the idea behind it. Nothing has to be just for the sake of it. And there has to be a reason, there has to be a purpose. And once we found that purpose is where the challenges that we think STEAM might pose automatically are faded, and we find those solutions. Ma'am, thank you so much for that. Was definitely a very positive perspective brought forward by you, and I'm sure this should help us understand and help us mark a way forward as well as to how we can curate that path after decoding STEAM today. Thank you so much, ma'am. And with this, I would like to go and ahead and pose my question to Neha. Neha, we have already discussed what STEAM is, what are the challenges, and how can we take the way forward. Now, going ahead, post K-12, I would request you if you could help us understand that how can STEAM education prepare students for the future careers that are not, they do not exist as of now, and what skills should be emphasized to ensure that they are adaptable and innovative as well. So apart from the routine careers, are there any future careers that the children can look forward to? So over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Pooja, for the question, and good evening to all the esteemed panel. I would like to take a moment here, and before I come on to the answer, and mention that how important today's discussion is. Like we've been, in the recent time, part of so many STEM education and implementation of it, a different part of discussion. But the pointers which everybody's mentioned is actually even made me also think about that we are just implementing, and every time now the CBSE affiliation policies are also out, they've also given something. So we are so busy into trying to capture everything and just give it out to the student, we are forgetting the basic things, like how well TPS sir has mentioned, by taking that top to bottom approach, and how exactly we're going to do it, whether within the curriculum and implementation. Reshma ma'am clearly mentioned the finance part of it. Is it affordable by everyone, or doing the co-collaboration by collaboration with different industry and all of those segments? And I feel these pointers are something that we actually need to think about and solve step by step. Then only we'll have a complete outcome coming out of this these policies. Now, to answer your question, I would like to take a reference of what Abhishek sir said, because it's always lovely listening to him. Abhishek sir has mentioned in a very simple way, and he's bifurcated the whole 5 domain of STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Now, Pooja, as you asked me, what exactly those futuristic career domains and how exactly we prepare. So, as Abhishek sir said, ki sometimes what happens while focusing on one thing, one part comes out too much. Like, for example, now T is becoming way too big out of that SEAM portion, right? And that's why I think in past couple of years, I think past decade, there was a bubble of coding. Everybody wanted to do code, like second grade student wanted to do code when they were failing in maths and not able to understand it, right? And it's nobody's fault. It's just because the future looks so scary, the future of job and the skill domain looks so scary. We think now there's a ChatGPT and Sam Altman changing the world. Maybe we should, after 12th class, we should enroll our student in some fancy kind of courses, and some new words are coming up, and nobody understand the application of it out outcome of it. For example, you go get yourself enrolled in propulsion engineering course, right? And you don't understand what exactly it stands for. We are just doing it electric propulsion because apparently Elon Musk is making electric cars. So we think future of electric is bright, it is bright. There is no doubt in that. But what exactly we want from it, right? So if we talk about how exactly we can prepare our student for this job is by not focusing on that any of this particular domain. See, as an organization, as a founder, so we meet both the kind of people, the people who are in industry and with the school segment as well. And I see every day jobs are evolving, but it's at the end of the day, it's coming out of the same domain which already used to exist. For example, like I'll give you a very basic example, like bathtub manufacturing company, right? Bathtub. It's not a very big rocket science. 40% of the engineers, bathtub manufacturing company, luxury bathtub hire, they are an aerodynamic engineer, right? So people don't know it. People don't understand. And the people they're hiring as more, they're an aerodynamic engineer, but they are more inclined towards the art side of those segments. All the airlines, these Emirates and even Air India, after taking now Air India and Vistara, they are collaborating. They're working, they have the engineering domain, but they're also working on the sustainability side of it. Maybe we use more of fibers and composite, and the luxury side, how aesthetically good is going to look, or what kind of fuel we're going to use. So instead of just focusing on one particular technology and, getting lost in this race and getting scared that whether we should do AI or mechatronics or some kind of, orbital science, all of those are just one part of domain. There are subdomains of every particular segment. We'll only be able to figure it out once we understand the whole interdisciplinary approach for it. To give you an example, all the startups which are there, like I am personally connected to all the 300 startups of Shark Tank India, no matter in which domain they are, whether they are in sustainability, agriculture, software, medical, some of the startup, they build very beautiful code. They have the whole portal of it, but their product is not working because there are different, it's cost-wise, it's not effective, or maybe they're not able to find the right market for it. So there are so many different problems. Getting to know and just being obsessed over one technology is not going to solve everything. We need to understand the science part of it, arts part of it, how exactly it's going to work out, what are the, whether it is good or sustainable in terms of the futuristic domain or for the coming 4 to 5 years. All those factors we actually have to think about. If on the ground level, if we can give these kind of understanding to our student, so they won't be worrying about too much in terms of thinking whether I should go more towards the technology or should I just learn more about money or the financial knowledge of it. Because once they understand, okay, this is the project, these are the skill set it requires, I need to understand the finance portion of it, because viability is a very, very important portion which plays. If they'll be familiar, I'm not saying they have to become expert in everything, they'll just understand the portion of all of these things, then no matter which domain they go, we divide domain into 3 different categories: air, water, and land. So aerospace, automobile, and marine, and all of those things. So no matter in which domain they go, at the end of it, when you actually go into these industry, you see base is same. Right, the end product, the manufacturing product which they're and there's not one person which is doing it, there's a whole team of it which is doing it. But the base, when the project which we talk about project management, when the project is initiated, all these factors are considered. So companies are looking for the people who understand the implementation of it. Today, as an organization, if I want to build a satellite, I'm just not going to get someone, who can get the pieces together and put the solar panel and structure and put some kind of code in it. I'm going to be more inclined toward the person who's going to give me a good cost estimation of it, and maybe can do the inventory management of it, and can also give me a 5-year project plan of it. So a little bit mix of, and this is how the career domains are even changing in all of those industry in different sector where they're hiring people. Earlier, it used to be like if you've done IT, just IT, so you can be just in IT. Now things are more, interdisciplinary. The domains are very much mixed. So instead of just giving focus to one particular domain, I feel we have to understand from the base level whether students are able to understand that how exactly they can perform that particular task. So I think if we follow this kind of approach, it'll be much easier for the student to find that particular career domain or a particular course in the university, which later they can take on and actually make a good career out of it. Because everybody is struggling, though people who haven't learned this in the past, they have to do the relearning again. They're getting upskill again, whether they are founders, whether they have 10 to 12 years of experience or 20 years of experience in the working industry. Everybody is getting upskilled because they know sticking to one particular domain is not going to work. So that is my 2 cents on it.
Thank you so much, Neha. Of course, definitely what you said exactly in the last is that sticking to one domain is not going to work. I have also had these examples and people around who have maybe done their engineering also, then they're doing their MBA also, but then finally they found they are very good in designing or maybe something else. So that has always been there. And luckily, we are right now in an era where we have the opportunity, we have that luxury to switch our fields, even if we have gone ahead with the UG or PG studies of the same. So luckily, we do have that freedom to explore new areas, and there is a lot of integration. I think not only at the school level that has happened, but also in the professional level also a lot of integration has happened. And as you already have mentioned that even in the airlines, when they're looking for people, they're also looking for people with the arts mindset. Even if you're making, of course, anything as simple as a bathtub, there's a lot of ergonomics involved in it. So all the fields are actually coming together. The only shift that needs to be made is made amongst us as educators, amongst parents, and amongst learners, that they are the interdisciplinary, integrated approach way forward the careers as well as the curriculum. So once we do that, I think there will be like endless opportunities available for today's learners. So thank you so much, Neha, for I think this has given us a very, very clear picture.
Come and visit this project display. In this, the students exhibited models which were made by them under the thematic umbrella of social sciences, sciences and art. And technology played a very crucial role as students researched, they prepared presentations, videos, and also a little theater presentation which took them through the ages of how civilizations evolved in India. So it is a mix of everything. Now, to support all these programs, you've got to have a very strong infrastructure, which I'm delighted to share that we have in terms of labs, which are science labs, computer labs, language labs. We have recently set up a AI lab. We had a robotics lab. We have upgraded to add AI in it. And last and least, a very well-equipped library where children can do a lot of reading and research. And so having said all that, we have just been through it 2 weeks ago. And next time we meet, I can share some pictures and videos of it. Thank you.
Sure, sir. We would love to go through them. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing the same with us. And I have the same question to Hema, ma'am, if you could share any one case study or project with us.
Yeah, so like I was earlier mentioning that we have set up the infrastructure and tried to catch the children pretty young. I forgot to also mention that simultaneously, we also have the Innovators Lab. So while we take care of the robotics and coding and design thinking and the makerspace kind of situation, we also expect children to, for every unit that they are doing, that they go into the Innovators Lab and experiment. We have kept a lot of very day-to-day material there which they can use. That was one part. And then, of course, already discussed that we look at the sustainable goals. So we pick up one goal that we want to work on through the year and across the grades. Right now in our school, we have till grade 8. So from grade 1 to grade 8, all of them at a different level work on that and come up with solutions, and then look at all the different aspects. It could be the science part, the technology part, the engineering parts, the art one, or the math, and they come up with solutions. And of course, at the end of the year, they display this. This is a very new school. We are still working on this. But the idea, like I mentioned earlier, is to build a culture where children think in those terms and explore. And we start small, where we can and what we can do. I know the picture may out there can be a fairly grim one, but at least we start, and instead of thinking that, oh, it cannot be done or how can we do it, let's just start somewhere and then see how that progresses.
Sure, ma'am. Little steps are actually part of the long journey that we take. And that is a beautiful approach. And of course, if you're working anything that is related to SDG, ma'am, you're already building up a very strong community members as of now.
Yeah.
So,
and if I can just add one more point, this is where we also want to build in entrepreneurship and financial literacy as well. So these are again something mandatory that we expect our children to do, in fact, encouraging them to make prototypes.
very true, ma'am. Very true. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, Abhishek sir has been working very closely with children. So, sir, if you could just share any of your one project or case study with us.
So, in addition to what amazing jobs that TPS sir and Hema ma'am is doing in their schools, like I would rather request or suggest them to try to look into the curriculum, try to understand that each and every topic that are associated with the curriculum. And if you can, and as I said, that integration is the key. So it's not only having, creating labs or spaces inside the school. We can actually create a lot of mindset among the teachers, among the students, by linking the curriculum with the problem statements, and then problem statements, and let them explore those problem statements. I can give you an example. Like, or recently I joined Presidency School, which is like an amazing school with a lot of legacy and 50 years of legacy. And I'm here like in Bangalore for last 2 months, and I just came and asked my students like what kind of problem you want to solve. And this is an exercise that I've done in my previous schools also. Like, I just randomly went to grade 6 to 10 and said like, okay, what kind of problem you want to solve, right? How you can contribute to your environment, to your society. And they came up with amazing stuff, right? Within a week. And before that, what I did, like I took a session of design thinking so that they understand the process. So after that, they came up with some amazing problems which they are not even exposed to sustainable development. They are not even exposed to what AI can do, what kind of impact they can bring here. But when you let them free and when you tell them, look, can you do the research, can you come out, and my job was not as a judge. Like, my job was to destroy their model, right? That was my job. The moment they came to me with the model, I asked all the questions under the sun possible to destroy their model, and then they again go back to the sketchboard and they do that and they redo that problem and come to me again, and again I'll destroy that. So this happened for at least 4 to 5 times, and they end up with pretty good stuff, like at the end of the whole process. So in that particular problem, there was science, there was maths, there was technology, there was finance, there was sustainability development. So they came up with models like mossification, like where they can use moss to purify the whole you're in a small space like a room or something like that. So incredible stuff they came up with, and it was really a proud moment. And this I have got, as you said, Pooja, I work very closely to the students, and I got tremendous amount of faith on them. It's a more challenge to actually take the teachers to that level, to orient and to create the right mindset. but the student is the easy part. To make students a good learner, or to transform them into a good learner, is the easy part. The difficult part is to deal with the adults, to transform their understanding and change their mindset to understand that STEAM or stream is the subject, not science, not math, not any other bifurcation. It is STEAM. We have to design the curriculum keeping that in mind. We have to design the curriculum keeping that in mind, like keeping that in mind that a sound of a revolving ceiling fan can actually create all kinds of lesson plans related to science, math, engineering, and everything, right? So that is something that we need to understand. And when we can understand that, then maybe everyone will be happy. Montessori to Bloom's, everyone will be happy, about the outcome which will be coming to our education domain. Yes, Bhujaman, thank you.
Yes, definitely. So I think that is what is most needed, working on the curriculum and understanding and taking it as a subject forward. However, I also understand that with all the other boards and the kind of syllabus that we are right now pushed to take forward, it becomes difficult. But yes, we will
No,
have
I
to take
think I'm
initiative.
sorry, Pooja ma'am, you're getting it wrong. A board has never told you that do the things in that way. That all the boards are there to actually conduct assessments, whether it is board,
Yes,
CBSE and ICSE. They have given you a curriculum. NCERT has given you a curriculum. Our NCF is pretty good, and if you can actually do that NCF properly, then I think this is possible. I don't know how many educators will agree with me, but it is highly possible if you can implement the NCF to our school. It is highly
yes.
possible to actually create a curriculum, integrated curriculum.
Correct, sir. So that is what I also agree upon, that we have taken the curriculum as it to be, as in it is something that we are being pushed to. We are not able to finish it
Right.
until that
Hmm.
term comes. But once we sit on about it, deliberate like this, we can definitely bring in those changes and make it more student friendly. And of course, the way you said that they research, you destroy the project. So it is not kind of trying to dishearten them, but asking them to get new and more ways how things can be done. So that is a very beautiful approach altogether. So because it's a research-based education, anytime is more sustainable. So thank you so much, sir, again bringing in a revolutionary perspective here. Now I have the same question for Reshma ma'am. Ma'am, what would be your take on this, or any of the case study that you would like to discuss?
So basically, Ms. Pooja, the school that I, work at, we run in a lot of programs related to STEAM. Like I said, they're all moduled, and most of them are post-school programs which are approachable to students who are interested in taking up STEAM as a kind of project. We do make it, you have an AI lab and so on and so forth. But the project closest to my heart, and which was a lot of fun, is something that I would like to share with all of you today. We took the grade 8 students out. We have a huge ground, a football ground, a 7-a-side ground. We took all of them out, and we told them to do things that they love to do best, is to fly a paper plane. And the only ground rules that were set up for the lot of students, the boys, girls, both of them, only ground rule that was set up is you need to prepare a plane, fly it, measure the distance that it flies, and once you do that, you need to improvise on your own model so that it flies swifter, it flies for a larger distance. And the children set about to it. They created their planes, they experimented, and it became so competitive in nature at a certain point of time that you had children changing the shapes of their plane, and then came in the rubber band where you put in a plane and fly. And trust me, by the end of this entire project, which we did across like 2 to 3 sessions, so that students got time to research and come back and make better models. Students knew the terms aerodynamics, they knew the terms streamlined, they knew the terms, about what is aeronautical engineering. They knew the terms wind velocity, wind direction, and so many other terms related to engineering and technology that we wouldn't think that a grade 8 student might even discover. And all this by experimenting on their own. And what are they using? A very low cost paper plane, which is affordable by anyone. So at one end, when you have a set of students doing a very structured module called STEAM in a certain place, you have another set of students where you've taken STEAM to the entire class in a mass, And at a level of grade 8, where they're hardly 12 years old, they're probably having the most fun of their time, in their lives, and at the same time learning so much. So I think that was one of the greatest experiences. The other experience that we had was when we set out to do a project on eggs, right? So the humble egg, white in color, and believe you me, we had students who had eggs, and they were explaining when you egg to extremes, press down as hard as you want, the egg doesn't break. So the simple thing is, why does it not break? So it goes ahead with understanding principles behind the structure of an egg. Why do you have one of the most ancient structures, with the shape of an egg as its roof? So you come down to a lot of self-learning and, like you rightly said, research, reading, and you have grade 2 students explaining to you why the structure of egg is one of the strongest in the world. So what more, can you do for, like I said, STEAM or STREAM? Like I said, the challenges are supplemented by the solutions. So the challenges can easily be overcome with very simple solutions. So, well, that's
True.
one very interesting case study that I'd like to share on this platform.
Definitely, ma'am. They were interesting. And even that, I almost went to the thoughts that, okay, yes, how, why doesn't the egg break when you're holding it like this? It's very simple. It's a day-to-day thing, but we never thought about it. And there's so much of
The
science
distribution of
there.
pressure.
Correct, ma'am. So yes, now I'll keep thinking about it, but that's the food for thought that we need to keep giving to our children as well. Thank,
Absolutely.
thank you so much, ma'am. So now the
And
same
I like
question.
one term, Pooja. This term was spoken by Neha. She said it's not rocket science. And I would actually like to tell you, Pooja, that STEAM, STREAM, STEM, they're not rocket science.
Very true, ma'am. It is just around us.
Absolutely.
Correct. Thank you so much, ma'am. And Neha, the same question is for you, although you yourself have or are the part of the case study, but still, if you could just give us one topic or one project for children, for our educators as well, where you found that the stream was used to the maximum. Over to you, Neha.
Right. Hi, I think I got disconnected in between. It's raining heavily in Mumbai. Um, yeah, did you put the question for me, Pooja?
Yes, for you.
Right. Okay. So first, Reshma ma'am gave a very nice example. Actually, that's my favorite example always to give. Even our student, once they built the plane where they actually saw converting potential to kinetic energy live while it's taking a circular motion. The plane, so a lot of things can be done. I feel so the we I think almost all our curriculum we try to devise it in a way so we take back to we don't do concept to industrial grade approach. We try to take concept from industry, then come on to the academic approach. So that way we try to do. To give an example, one of the most, so it's a very, very new startup. So what we've done, so they collect a lot of raw material from temples, flowers and jewelry and everything and recycle it and convert into an incense stick. Now their problem is they can't recycle the jewelry. What do you do with it? Especially the plastic one. So in our labs, for example, we have a 3D printer. Up till now, we were only teaching students how to use 3D printer. So that was a very basic thing. Everybody can learn it, not a very big deal. But what we've started also doing, because whatever you're learning, there has to be a real life solution for it, like a real life problem statement for it, so that it can be applicable in the real world. So we said ki, for example, the 3D printer material is not that easily accessible. You have to go and buy it and it's expensive also. So can we figure out a different way, different materials which we actually can melt and reutilize in the 3D printer? So that's where this problem statement of this particular startup got solved. We said, you give us all the plastic jewelry, let our student remold it, recycle it, and build a new product out of it. So your problem is also solved, and our student will also have some real life problem statement to work on. And if you like it, please do give them some royalty as well. So that's how we did it. So we're trying to get more company to agree on and get us on board on the same process.
Yeah. Oh, great. And that is, I think, the biggest example of collaboration. This just reminded of a project that we did when COVID hit. So something that is called as eco bricks. So you have all the smaller particles, cutouts of all the plastics. You put it in a plastic bottle and make it intact so that it can be used to in place of bricks along with the cement. So there was a project going on in one of the prisons here, rehabilitation centers as well. So they were given this project that to make those bricks, and they were bought. So as you mentioned, that everything that we do has to have a real life solution. So I think that is the whole purpose of STEAM education, and to bring in that aspect that whatever you do, it has to have a real life solution, and we are definitely giving it back to the community and working in a collaborative form. So thank you so much for kind of summing up the complete thing on such a beautiful note of us working in collaboration with each other. And that is the reason that we are here. We have had a wonderful session of an hour understanding and decoding this team, and such amazing takeaways have come that the STEAM is not just the T of it, not just the technology. It is a subject that needs to be integrated, brought in with the interdisciplinary form, and going from top to bottom, even functional concepts towards the learning concepts. And us as educators, as felicitators, us as decision makers also, we need to take it forward as a catalyst rather than it having an add-on burden over us. So thank you so much, our esteemed panelists, for joining us today. And thank you so much to all the amazing educators. They've been giving their feedbacks as well. And I would like to inform that we have other two episodes on one is on of September, and the other is on 27th of September, again 5 to 6 p.m. Please do join us for those as well. And we have an offline event happening in Chandigarh on 5th of October. We would love to have all the principals on board with us. The link for the feedback form has already been shared in the chat box. You can access it, share us your feedback as well as your details that you would like to be mentioned on the certificate. As I mentioned, it will take 4 days time for us to process those certificates, and of course it being a weekend and then 2 holidays coming in, kindly wait till the next Saturday, it shall reach. I once again, on the behalf of the complete team GSLC, would like to thank Varaich sir, Hema ma'am, Reshma ma'am, Abhishek sir, and Neha for joining us today and sharing such amazing insights and literally helping us, and please believe me when I say this, decoding STEAM and understanding the way forward. Thank you so much to everyone.
And Ms. Pooja, I'd like to add that you've been a wonderful moderator, and
thank you,
for
Pooja.
moderating.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, all
Thank
my
you.
Thank you,
fellow
everyone.
colleagues
Thank you,
on the
everyone.
panel. Till we meet again very
Thank
soon.
Sure, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely seeing you again, Abhishek sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reshma ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
TPS sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hema ma'am. Bye. Thank you, Pooja.
Bye.
Thank you.
So we'll take your leave now, Pooja.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Same to you.